thumb. Oh, I can feel it damp already. This doesn't feel right, James.
Oh, it's fresh, isn't it? It's pretty chilly.
I know.
It's like 1 degree, I think, so it's saying on pickup.
We're not in the traditional chairs, James.
Oh, no, yeah, I've got the chairs.
Can we do an official apology, please? Apologise to the people.
Yeah, we're a bit out of. Well, we shouldn't be here, really, should we? We wouldn't be here if I hadn't done something stupid.
Yeah, this was supposed to be happening back in the workshop.
Yesterday.
But
I went and put a Stanley knife in the back of my thumb. Which, when you landed yesterday, I was in a foul mood.
I knew something wasn't just quite right when I got there. So I just... but then suddenly it transpired.
Yeah, there's not much hiding it, really. So... And I can't really... it was
from the trail of blood that was all to and fro. I thought, hang on a minute.
Oh, it was one of them jobs. I was just having a day of sorting random stuff out yesterday in the workshop, way morning. Like, I had jobs that I needed to get done, but I was also doing these little annoying jobs that I hadn't got done for ages. And it was one of them jobs that it was basically some old angle grinder boxes that come with angle grinders that are plastic, and they were going to go to tip.
Like a blow moulded centre.
Yeah, and in fairness, they've never been used, so they are spotless. And Dad, rightly so, suggested cutting the inside out to make it into a useful box because it was moulded to the angle grinder. Which angle grinders went ages ago. So I did that.
We burnt them off. Sharp.
Yeah. We get to angle grinders quite quickly if they're not any good, really, don't we? But so I managed to cut this thing out with a Stanley knife blade, cut the inside out, and I got it out. And I was just on trimming it up just to tidy it up, and I had my hand there and the Stanley knife blade here, and it was, of course, brand new Stanley knife blade, which is probably quite a good thing, to be fair, in some respects. And basically went like that, and I went slam, and basically slammed a brand new Stanley knife into the back of my thumb. And it was pissing blood everywhere.
Have you ever heard the tale that lots of people go, ooh, you only ever cut yourself with a blunt knife?
Yeah, well...
Bollocks.
Yeah, I proved that one yesterday.
I've hacked myself to bits with all sorts of sharp stuff, and it was sharp.
I was so annoyed with myself because I ruined my own day by being an idiot.
I think the problem was that it was wasn't a huge long gash, but she was deep, was that?
It was deep, yeah. And I got away very lightly for several reasons, because I wrapped it up with blue paper towel and insulation tape, as you do, because that's what you do in a workshop.
Standard field dressing.
Yeah.
We all learn this.
And the first one worked quite well. And I went to Howard's and I got the monitor and got the trailer, but then, for whatever reason, it started bleeding everywhere again. So I had another go and it didn't work. You had a go and it didn't really work. And that was the point which was like, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours in, I'm like, I'm going to have to go to hospital.
When it was getting the better of a few field dressings, at that point you start to think, yeah, maybe this is a bit...
In quarter of an hour, when what you've put on is just piss wet through in blood, you're like, well, this is not good. So, yeah, off to Friar Regent, North Ireland I went. And in fairness, like, I was lucky because it was a brand new blade, it was sharp, so it went in and came straight out again. So I knew there was nothing in there.
Yeah.
And in fairness, again, NHS... spot on, sorted me in, like, yeah, I had to wait, but I deserved to wait, to be honest. And I said to the last that sorted us out, how long, like, we got talking about waiting, and said, yesterday it was a 6-hour wait, just because it's quite a small department, it does what it needs to do for us, and it doesn't take a lot for them to get overwhelmed.
Problem, yeah.
I got there at 1 o'clock and I was back at workshop by 4 o'clock, which wasn't the greatest idea, to be fair.
What, coming back?
Because what happened then? So they did a really good job of, like, really clean, tidy dressing. Yep. So I put a glove on.
So now Captain Fantastic gets back and says, I'm mended, let's get back at
Game
it.
on.
Yeah. So you didn't start cutting things again, which is fair enough, because that would have been a bit questionable, but...
I was just jobbing about, doing what needed to be done, and then I looked at my glove and I was like, oh, why is there bits of blood on the outside? And I thought it'd come off this hand, and then I looked on the back of my hand and I was like, oh, you idiot.
It had got onto the outside of the glove by filling the glove up and escaping out of the top.
And I know exactly when I did it as well. It was undoing the handbrake on the Manitou, pressing the button on the end of the handbrake, made it bleed again. Because I was like, I did it, and I was like, oh, that wasn't clever. And it's, yeah, so then I
That'll be a lesson to you.
pulled the glove off, and it was just done everywhere again.
Messing about with the handbrake for anyway. Just shove the front down and just weigh anchor. There we go. It'll stop.
So yeah, that's why we're here now doing this, because somebody was stupid yesterday. Well,
But
stupid on several levels, to be honest.
At least it was clean.
It was clean, yeah.
Because the other day, Stephen called in. We were just inspecting his west spreader because there was door wasn't just operating as it should do. So we were having a bit of an investigation and looking in and cleaning stuff away to see just exactly what was happening. And he just happened to rub his finger down the inside of somewhere just to see what it was like. And there was a nasty, raggedy, sharp edge.
Oh, savage.
Opened part of his finger up. But that wasn't really the problem.
No.
It was more a case of, that was really, really, really shitty.
Yeah, funny enough, on a shit spreader.
So anyway, we were straight into the sink here and just sort of washed it off. And I said, you're going to have to scrub that. So anyway, into the house and out with the scrubbing brush. And he just said, be a big brave boy. Time to be brave. And then at it with the scrubbing brush.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think he's all right now. But yeah, if you don't do that, you can guarantee it's going to fizz up and you're going to be in a much...
Well, in fairness, I got a tetanus as well. I hadn't had one since 2008. They said, can you remember when you had a tetanus? No. And then they said, you had one in 2008. I was like, oh, yeah. We went to Gambia.
Oh.
And we had to have one for that. So, yeah, I remembered.
Have you ever had tetanus?
No.
I've been admitted to hospital with it. It's
Have
not
you?
fun, yeah.
Oh,
I didn't know what the hell was wrong. I just sat there and I just thought, it's a bit weird. Can't really open the jaw. And I was feeling around here. I was trying to massage my muscles, sort of loosen them off. And I thought, this is awfully weird. What the hell's going on here? And then, but previous to that, we'd sorting lambs out, and one of them had smacked my hand into the back of the lamb weighing scales and opened it up a bit, but nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I'd ever had a tetanus shot before that because it'd never really been an issue. But yeah, it's frightening when it sets off because I can't talk.
Well, that does explain. I did have a 2-hour nap today because I was like, not just 100%. I don't know why. There's no reason for me not to be. And I went and sat in the chair in the warm sitting room. And I do sometimes have a nap, but it's like 20 minutes. But like I was out for 2 hours. There's me and Lucinda both having 2-hour naps this afternoon. And yeah, I think it's tetanus shots just like, doing its thing. So anyway. Yeah.
And James, we're not 20 anymore.
No. Oh, that's the trouble, isn't it? So 2008 I was 28. I don't think I felt it. But now I'm a lot older than that, and yeah. What a dick. Oh, and then, in fairness, I was annoyed because the lass in the hospital had done a really good job of really nice, tidy dressing, and then it was just piss sweat through with blood. So,
just had to rip it all off.
Peel it off and start again. Anyway, yeah, it's alright.
I knew you were in trouble when you whipped that glove off. You just pulled the glove off, and it sort of turned inside out as you did it. And it just went splat. Yeah, that's not good.
Well, the funny thing was, you put that. So, the final dressing that you did was basically blue paper towel and insulation tape as tight as we could get it to try and put some pressure on to stop it bleeding. And by the time we got to that, the end of my thumb was going blue.
I did say if the insulation tape wasn't doing it, we could whack a Jubilee clip on there.
When you go to hospital and you have to get a screwdriver out, do it. It's like, you have to go back to pick up and I'll go and get my own screwdriver.
Or if we just whacked a cable tie on there, then, oh no, they'll have to cut that off and it'll just end up in...
In fairness, it did exactly what it needed to do because it did stop it bleeding. And I got to hospital, I was like, yeah, that's going blue. And then I sort of slackened it off a bit and it came right, so yeah. But I've been lucky because I didn't hit any tendons. Yeah. I missed all the tendons, which was... I've just been so lucky.
Easy done.
All for some stupidity. I was so annoyed with myself for being stupid. Because I didn't even thought about it. Don't stab yourself with a Stanley knife. And then I went and did it.
You never plan to.
Well, no.
Shit like that just happens. You're aware. The problem is, you're aware of this before you start.
Yeah.
So it's in the back of your mind. You just think, oh yeah, I'll just be careful here.
Yeah. And I'm lucky, in fairness, the other thing I'm lucky on is it didn't hit anything else. Like, it could have been a lot worse if it hit any other part of my hand, to be honest. So yeah, I've been very lucky. So yeah, so that sort of spannered yesterday, really, didn't it? Because by the time I got back, we were on a mission to get the job done we were on with, to get it finished before dark. And so yeah, that's why we're sat in your shed on Saturday sessions in the freezing cold. Well, it's not freezing, but it's cold.
Yeah, with the tinkling of the valley gutter above our heads.
Yeah.
The freshly cleaned valley gutter, which is working a treat now.
Yeah.
Otherwise there'd be water dropping on that camera.
Well, that would be unhelpful, wouldn't it?
But the now empty shed, we've only got a handful of lambs left.
Yeah.
Because I've cashed them in. Could I be bothered buying food for them anymore? No.
Right.
Bon voyage.
Get down the road.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that went all right.
Oh yeah. No, went far better than expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there with either grass or more feed or more patience than I have. Because they were they were taking up room, and I needed the room, and I needed to do stuff with the other sheep, and I just get out.
Patience, and one other thing, which I think you are on the right side of, because you don't spend money to put into feed, then put into lambs.
Yes.
You aren't going to get a return on.
Well, they might do. They should do, actually. But the problem is that a lot of these people that are buying lambs to then fatten up, they know more than I do. Which is so they should do. If they're putting money in this sort of thing, like investing tens of thousands, then they should know, or have an idea what's happening. It's still all like roulette, but it's the more you know, the more your odds are in your favour. Yeah,
it's just amusing at the moment, though, isn't it? Because like milk price is good, beef price is good, lamb price is good, everything's quite good, which is unusual for it all to be good at the same time. The thing that's knackering the job at the moment is the government, who are just on a mission to absolutely annihilate the rural economy, not just farming, but the rural economy. Because they're on about shotgun licences now. They're going to double in price. And I saw a thing yesterday that you're not going to be able to keep shotguns on a farm. My issue with that is, I don't like
what
a lot of people who are rural people who have a shotgun, like me and you, and a licence to use it and keep it, aren't the sort of people that are causing trouble in the that they want to stop. Really, we're not running around the city.
It's a tool.
Yeah, mine gets a very occasional ride out. It's been out once this season, and it wasn't even mine actually that went out. It was I used another one.
Don't get me wrong, shotguns are a lethal weapon.
Yeah,
they are
absolutely.
But they are of limited capacity.
Well,
you could go around and, well, you don't like to think about it, but yes, they are. They're a dangerous thing, and they are treated with respect that they're due. But if you were really hell-bound on doing someone some mischief, it doesn't.
Yeah,
you would be able to get hold of these things anyway.
Yeah,
you still can.
It isn't going to stop it.
No. If you are that way inclined, you can get hold of anything. And I would say that if you are going to the trouble of doing that, if you make a shotgun as hard to get hold of as like a firearm, then you're probably just going to get hold of a firearm.
Yeah, which has more power and more likely to do more damage, and equally, it just makes it even more incentivised for those criminally minded to. The other thing I think it's going to do is it's just going to make what they don't like is the elite, or what they consider the elite, and it's just going to make the whole industry more elitist, which is what they hate. I'm thinking, well, you're not. And the reason I say the rural economy is because the amount of money that is generated by shooting of wild birds, whether it be grouse or pheasants, or some might argue they're not wild, but anyway, that's by the by. the amount of money that is generated in this small location, really, this is like Wensleydale, one Dale, the amount of money that's generated is massive.
It's impressive.
But they're just oblivious to that, absolutely oblivious to it. And like,
there's those that are directly involved, which we're talking the gamekeepers. There's a lot of those.
Ooh.
And those gamekeepers all have, they're all running around in machinery. These estates take looking after. There's other people involved. There's ground care. There's
machinery dealers to supply them with the equipment.
Yeah, there's your casual labour.
Yeah, the beaters.
The beaters. George goes, Shell goes.
Yeah.
It's a handy bit of income. It always used to be a thing. When I was younger, you'd be talking to people. Oh yeah, we're off beating. We're off.
Yeah.
Over the summer holidays. Well, latterly, yeah.
Yeah. And in fairness, like I've only this season done a little bit of it because it's round home, but in fairness, not just for the financial. Well, in fairness, I don't get paid, but it just does you a lot of good to get out in the fresh air and away from work and enjoy the countryside. Because I wouldn't normally. I'd just be flat out working.
Yeah, busman's holiday.
Well, yeah, that was one thing that I thought on the way up here. Was like one of the things that me and you would do, because we work for ourselves, is do exactly what I did yesterday, which was stupid. But we would basically go to hospital, get fixed up, and then go straight back to work.
Yes.
And really, most employed people would be like, I can milk this for a few days. At least several hours.
I hate to say it, but yes. But again, this is the problem with the self-employed. The self-employed that just have to get on and work. There's no backstop there.
No.
There's nobody really looking after you. There's nobody. If you don't work, you're not getting paid. Or if you don't work, worse still, nothing's happening.
No. And that, in fairness, I'm not like I did it by choice. I could have gone home. I didn't want to because I wanted to get on with my jobs and get stuff done. But it's just that's where a lot of people just don't get it. They're just not, and it's not. I don't blame them for that. They obviously like to do what they do. They're employed. They're they've got the ability to say, yeah, I've had an accident, I'm going home. And that's absolutely fine. But it's when they come at us saying, the sort of misunderstanding of the fact that a business owner is minted and can afford to be off work and can afford to gallivant all over the country is just...
It all depends on the business, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Your small businesses, doubtful.
Well, and that's what people don't understand either. A lot of the time, they assume that the economy is made up of massive businesses, and it isn't. The majority, by it's over 80%, is made up of small businesses. And because a lot of those small businesses feed the big businesses or supply the big businesses.
If anything, it is a lot of these small businesses who, if you get in cahoots with the big businesses, often it's those that are the worst payers. You get in with some of the bigger ones, and you can be waiting for invoices for, even though it's written on your terms, you're chasing invoices, and they have the money, they're just shit paying.
Yeah. They just want to make their books look good by keeping hold of it as long as possible.
Well, that's it. Or they just, because they are so big, they can put the squeeze on, so they do.
Because equally, if that business goes bust, they don't end up paying. There'll be someone else that will step into their place and do that job anyway.
Oh yeah. There'll be no. It's like faceless business. There's no loyalty.
It's a game to some of them. I know it is, because there's a lad that I know that works for that, and he thinks it's brilliant to not pay people and put people off as long as possible. He thinks it's absolutely brilliant, which, fair enough, it's what he enjoys doing. But it's I wouldn't be in a rush to supply the company he works for, bearing in mind I know what I know.
No.
Think I don't need that headache.
But again, you see, that attitude is it's been allowed to flourish.
Yeah.
There's nobody, because you get a company, once they get so big, they have a bit of power.
Yeah.
They have a bit of, buying power and Anyway, we've got way off.
We have, of course, yeah.
Because we were planning.
Turn and burn, back onto the track.
Yeah.
We have a list and we've got...
Shake and bake, people.
So, the next topic is based on the fact that I saw a car on the road. I knew where I was when I saw it. It was at Killinghall. I can't think where I'd been or where I was coming back from, but I saw this car on the road and I was like, what the hell is that? It was absolutely hideous. It's a Hyundai. I think it's the new Santa Fe. I did Google it because I thought, what the hell is that? I'm going to put a picture on. It's absolutely hideous. I do not know how that got off a computer screen actually into production, because it's just god awful from every angle. But
well, it's funny how you should say that, because I was listening to a podcast, Smith and Sniff. Have you ever heard of it? Richard Porter, who used to work for Top Gear and Amazon, and Johnny Smith. Did I say that right? Yeah. Hence Smith and Sniff. There we go.
Yeah.
They were talking about they're heavily into cars, and they were saying how, I think it was back in Rover days, how they'd put, whenever they came up with a new concept, all the design engineers and everybody else involved really wanted to push this one particular concept because it really had legs. They thought, this is the way that we want to be going with the company. But almost to play sort of devil's advocate, you had to put forward 3 or 4 different incarnations or different designs or different ideas. But you'd always make them intentionally shit. So there was always like a clear winner. But apparently, I think it was in some of the dying days of Rover, they'd come up with this concept, right? This is one we want to push. This is gonna help. And apparently, the head honcho at the time picked one of the lame ducks.
Right.
Oh, this is amazing! Yeah, no, this is what we should be putting all our intentions behind and all our might. We're making this. Oh, bollocks.
Error.
So I'm just saying that this is, it can happen.
Yeah.
It can.
Well, and that, in fairness, the sort of I am a massive hypocrite because, and this annoys me, Land Rover. Just every single time they launch a vehicle, I hate it. I think, what the hell have they done? Why have they launched that? It looks awful. But over time, it grows on me to the point where I really like them. And it annoys me that they can manipulate me in such a way that I end up hating something and then liking it. Granted, I'm not, like, I wouldn't think I would ever own one. And I certainly wouldn't own a new one out of warranty based on experience of multiple people.
Yeah.
But it does, like, the new Defender, I hated it, but now I quite like it. And I just think it's annoying because they're quite good at manipulating me. And
I liked the Disco 4 when it came out. Or was it the Disco 3? Sorry, Disco 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When it came out, it was like a radical sort of departure from the old one. But I liked it. Top Gear took it up to the top of that mountain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I can remember going, yeah, it looks quite nice, that. And it carried on, and they kept tarting it up a bit, and then they came out with the Disco 5, and it's like that last Disco shagged an egg or something. I don't know about this. And anyway, having driven one and been sat in one, they're awesome.
Yeah.
For a tool.
Yeah. That's
for a machine, especially if you are going to put that thing to work and shove something heavy on its arse, or what the hell are they, 300 horsepower or something like that?
It's just mental, isn't it?
Just put smooth.
Yeah.
And just wafty.
And the trouble is, in fairness, this is why I'm a massive hypocrite, because in some respects, the difference in price between a double cab pickup and one of them isn't big enough. For the difference in vehicle...
It used to be.
Well, yeah, but it isn't now.
No, if you were going to tart up a pickup to get to a similar sort of spec to one of them, Yeah.
Well, you're still not going to be there, are you? Because you're going to have to put air suspension on the pickup to be anywhere, like and you'd only do that on the back. It's still not going to be the same.
It won't be. No, it won't be as accomplished.
No,
it won't.
They have moved on a lot, to be fair, but equally now that the government's changed the tax on them, God knows what's going to happen with them. But like, yeah, I just think, like I said, you wouldn't dare run one out of warranty because you just think you'd just get the bills would be enormous.
Well, that's the scary thing. You'd have to find an independent specialist with all the telemetry gear.
Well, I do wonder, like, if somebody got hold of them, not to the extent that Twisted do it, but someone got hold of a relatively new one and just sorted all the faults out and made them found a solution to all the stupid stuff that they do, you would have one hell of a vehicle. Like we've talked about swapping engines in them before. Was it the V6 or TDV6?
That V6, yeah. It was prone to, because they made it so short. It was a joint venture apparently between Land Rover and Peugeot, I think. And so they thought, well, we'll make it short so it fits in longitudinally. Yeah. Without taking up too, because it was having to go in. I think it went in some 607s and like Citroen C7s and anyway. So it was short, so the crank doesn't have a huge amount of meat in it in places. And also, I believe there's an issue with the. It all boils down to the crank. There's an issue with oiling. There's an issue with the oil going to the crank. Something to do with the pump, maybe not big enough, or the pump failing. So then, obviously, the crank comes under pressure, picks up, spins a bearing, or whatever. But whenever you see a problem with them, it's always crank gone, crank gone, or it's picked something up, or it's just so. And replacements are out there, like Jags went in a lot of Jags as well, but they'll be getting shorter. They'll be getting
less
shorter
and less
in supply, yeah. But it's again, it is doable. But how much do you want to throw at a car that is then maybe only going to be worth so much? Because it's a body-off job to get the edge. Yeah. So, how many people can do that? Lots of people can lift an engine out of something in the garage. Yeah. How many people can lift the top off a Disco 4 in the garage?
Yeah. No, it's it's frustrating, really.
But it's a costly affair if you're gonna. I'm not saying that people can't. Like look at Mike at KRM. Yeah. Everyone's running around in Discos and they're piling some miles on. I'm not saying.
And they always have.
Yeah.
For 23 years that he's been there, since we finished Harper, he's been there the whole time. They've always run around in Discoveries. Yeah. So yeah,
he'd be a good person to talk to about the whole subject because he'll know all of it.
The insides and outs.
Whatever's going to happen, he'll have seen it. Yeah.
And then, to bring it back to agriculture, some of the stuff that ends up getting off the drawing board, and I don't know why, but there is a company called Peacon, I think they're American, and they always go to I've been to Agritechnica and I've been to Witters, and they always seem to have something that's just completely mental on the stand. So at Agritechnica a few years ago, it was dual wheels that went on the back of a tractor, but they sort of gull-winged round.
Oh, so that they made that.
They folded up behind the back window, and and then when you need them, they folded back down again. But the engineering involved in the frame that was bolted to the tractor to make these wheels do this was just mental. And then Eurotier this time, they've put a frame on a tractor, and it wasn't made to easily disconnect because there was this massive frame on the back of the cab, which was like an over the cab, spinning head.
Like a grapple. So.
Yeah, for pulling the face off a side clamp. A lot like the self-propelled have. The self-propelled feeder wagons have those rotating things. But it's basically that went on a tractor that went over the top into a feeder wagon that was being towed behind. And you're like, surely the amount, that's not viable. But
The
they
cost
obviously
involved
built it
there,
and took it to Unity.
whereas the farm's telehandler, which will have one, if you make one of those heads for a telehandler just to scrape it onto the floor, and then, I don't know, have you ever come across a bucket?
I'm all for innovation, but I just can't see how sometimes stuff gets past the drawing board and someone doesn't say, hang on a minute.
Yeah, at what point in that process do we just have the sensible person with the sensible shoes on that'll just take a step back and just have a quick look at what you're planning, what you're doing, what you're thinking, and just go, no.
Well, and on the flip side of that, there was something that I saw in 2014 at Euritier, which was made by Shootmaker, which was called an Innovado, and to me, that was the absolute, I thought, that's got legs. It was a self-propelled robotic feeder wagon. So it's basically like the self-propelled ones that have a cab and you have the boom on the thing. Well, it was basically that, but no cab. And I was like, that's the future. That's got to be the way it's going, because robotics has moved on that far now that you've got robotic feed pushers, and instead of digging it out of a silage clamp to put it in the kitchen to then for the lelly, whatever it's called, can't remember what it's called now. They've got one that you basically fill a kitchen up with blocks, and then a grapple comes out of the roof and picks it up and puts it in the mixer, and then it tunnels around. You're double handling stuff all the time, whereas that was getting it out of the silage clamp, and I just thought, I was like, and then he canned it, and I was like, surely that's the way it's going. In fairness, Kuhn have come with one, and they had that at Euritier this time, and it might be that, I don't know what's happened, but it might be that they've sold, Shootmaker sold out to somebody or whatever, but I just thought, so you've got the flip side of stuff that you think, how has that got any further than a computer screen? And then you get to that when it's how did that get abandoned? How did that not stack up?
Who's not been thinking?
Yeah, because 2014, it was pretty innovative then, and every time I went back to Euritier after that, I didn't go every time, but most times I would go, it would be there, and they'd moved it on a bit further and a bit further and a bit further, and then out of nowhere it was we're abandoning it.
Well, let's be honest, dairy farms lend themselves quite well to this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the bigger ones that would be investing in that sort of technology, your cows aren't going out.
Well, and even more so, the ones in Europe, because they're all flat. I was over here, a lot of dairy farms over here they'll have some slope or they'll have something in that means they're not dead flat. There'll be a hump somewhere.
Something will put a machine on.
They'll be built on a hillside somehow, so there's going to be a ramp or something somewhere that they haven't been able to flatten out. And whereas a lot of farms in Holland is just, a lot of the dairy farms there are just flat. And as far as I know, Denmark, and I've never really been to any in Germany to know, but Denmark I've been to and they were flat. So it's it would just work. There would be surely a winner there, but yeah,
I can't see why not.
No, well, it's weird. I just don't get it because the stuff that. Because a lot of time I just look at stuff and think, who signed off to say that was worth spending money on?
Yeah. I know Shell, for instance, she was in one of her early jobs. She'd been brought in to either help or join in with a team that were looking at something in particular. And the team had spent an awful lot of time on this project, on trying to make something work. A huge amount of time. And Shell had just kind of joined, and I think it was because that she hadn't followed along on with everybody else, going down and down, further, deeper into these rabbit holes, that she then turned around and said, well, all right, that's all right, but what sort of an improvement in performance are you going to see from this thing that you're developing? What's it going? How much of an improvement are you going to see compared to how much is it going to cost? And it was only you know, because she did some quick calculations and had a look at it and said, well, it's going to, let's say for instance, this is going to cost 50 quid to implement, but it's only ever, at best, going to realise 20 quid.
Yeah.
At which point, the management pricked their ears up, had a look and went, oh yeah, that's bollocks, no, stop working on that. So everybody that had been working on it were a bit disgruntled. They're a bit, we were really trying with that. Yeah, but why?
Yeah, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. No one had thought about this. No one had thought. Which I'll admit, it's easy to do because at one point when you're trying to develop something, that kind of goes by the by because you think, well, if it does work, then we can maybe do economies of scale, or we can manufacturing can get streamlined, but it's certainly in this case, it was a case of, I think, buying something in and then doing something to it. Well, even buying it in was going to be more than it was ever going to realise before you touched it.
Amazing.
So, no.
Break some hearts.
Well, but again, it needs to be said.
Yeah.
But there's problems. You get a business that gets big enough, then shit gets lost in translation, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We'll have to say that you love Land Rovers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for everything I've said. Please send me a Defender.
Yeah.
Are they going to make a pickup, like a pickup 110?
I don't know, but what they are making, and I only found out this because I ended up going to a spot at Haworth in West Yorkshire to do with Latchline. Really interesting business that do quite a lot of rapid prototyping for people like Jaguar Land Rover and Jaguar and Land Rover.
Yeah.
They're making a baby Defender, so there must be a small one coming. And there's another, something else he said, and it was like I was supposed to know, and I didn't have a clue what he was on about. But yeah, that was a really interesting business to visit because they basically make. So if Jaguar Land Rover design a new vehicle, they need to crash test bumpers. They make 200 bumpers for them to crash test. So they're not in mass production. They're in like initial stages of testing and everything. And that was. They also make all sorts of other stuff as well. And I was there to talk to them about Latchline and making that. Just moving that on. But it was interesting. He's got there's a factory, a really smart new build factory at Haworth, which is like an old mill site that's been flattened and started again. He owns a business up at Teesside Airport that does 3D printing, and he has a factory in China. Right, that's interesting. So that was a real eye-opener. Real nice chap as well.
Yeah,
just multi-millionaire. Just worked really, just really good at what he does, and get stuff out the door really quick. Which I could learn a lot from that myself.
It's something to aspire to.
I'm so excited to see what happens with that. We will. We're giving Land Rover a bit of a beating, but no more than they deserve, to be brutally honest.
Well, they're...
Because it's frustrating. Why did it have to be so... when it could be so good?
I'd like one. I'd like to be riding around in one, because they're a nice thing to use and drive, but they're I would think, nice thing to use, but possibly not the nicest thing to own.
No, definitely not. Yeah. I've never been a fan of leasing vehicles. I've always wanted to own them because at the end of it, you're not responsible, you're not accountable to someone else if you've managed to do something to it. Yeah. And at the end of it, you've got an asset that you can sell. And whenever I do the figures on owning and leasing, the amount of miles I do, there's not that big a difference in the monthly payments. I would say if I end up going down the road of a Land Rover, I think I'd have to lease one, just so that I would have minimal amount of responsibility for it.
Well, yes. But then again, if you're leasing something, what sort of What sort of respect do you show it?
Well,
Possibly not so much.
I try and show my pickup a bit of respect, but equally, it is a tool to do a job.
Yeah.
So it has ended up with dings here, there that I'd rather it hadn't got, but it has got.
Yeah. But I'm not meaning so much cosmetically. I mean more like mechanical sympathy.
Well,
If you're just leasing something, you're going to jump in from cold. Have it. Let's be going.
Yeah, but in fairness, even though I own my pickup, some would argue I'm not as mechanically sympathetic as I should be with that.
Yeah, but time is money, James.
And in fairness, you think if I'm bad, this is worse.
Shake and bake.
Mechanical sympathy of a sledgehammer. It's like, so, yeah.
How many other mums on the way through to school on school run on a morning have uttered, probably at least 3 times, slingshot, engage?
Yeah, well. So, yeah. Anyway, we will finish on that. Thanks very much for watching, and yeah.
Yeah.
We'll try and get back to normal when we're not.
Normal's boring.
Yeah, we have to mix up a bit.
Let's sit in my emporium of stuff and get cold.
Yeah, freezing cold. So, yeah. Right. Thank you very much.
Ta-ta.
Right. Let's go. Oh my god. It's so